Right now at 5, voters in Kansas and Missouri headed to the polls yesterday. We'll take a look at final results and current standings.
And not nearly as cold out there this morning as we have been the last couple of mornings. Winds increasing as well. Have a look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus, Kansas passes a number of new laws. We'll take a look at their possible impacts.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Elise Noe.
I'm Chris Warner. It's Wednesday. It's April the 9th, and we are halfway through the work week.
We certainly are.
Oh, yeah. Boy.
Exactly. That's kind of the right reaction for that.
It's been busy this month. Lots going on, but thankfully today not so busy. Maybe get an opportunity to kind of catch up on stuff, or maybe catch up on sleep, because I don't know about anybody else on our morning crew, but I think as soon as I get home today, I'm going to take a nap. Yeah, I'm really tired. It helps every so often. As a kid, you don't want to take them. As you get older, all of a sudden they become necessary.
Exactly.
Let's take a look outside. It's downtown Pittsburgh, so that's what I'm saying. I really need a nap. We were woken up at about 12:30 this morning. The sound of the smoke detectors going off because our oldest decided of the 80 candles she had burning, she only needed like 5 and blew the others out simultaneously, and it set off the fire alarm at 12:30 this morning. So it's been a long morning. Thankfully, everything's okay. Hopefully, your morning's starting a little quieter than that. And like I said, it's nice. We got some clouds out there already. MoDOT camera 20th and Rangeline looking pretty good as well so far. Partly cloudy skies will be the trend today. It'll also be breezy. Those south winds occasionally gusting upwards of 35, but otherwise, we're not bad, and temperatures warmer. Mid-70s for most of us, some upper 70s possible for our friends to the west. And take a look at these temperatures. 55 in Joplin, 53 in Pittsburgh. Again, certainly better than yesterday. All of us getting in with those south winds. And take a look. The cold spot yesterday at its coldest point was Stockton at 28. The cold spot this morning is Cassville at 49. So talk about what a difference a day makes, and the rest of us low to mid 50s. Kids getting on the bus, again, depending on how they feel about the cooler weather, might want a light jacket. Low 50s, south winds gusting to 25, partly cloudy skies, and the winds increasing through the morning into the afternoon, gusting upwards of 35, still partly cloudy. Low to mid 70s, like I said, for most of us out there, but some of our western counties could make it into the upper 70s. So a very warm day. Now we still have that cold front coming tomorrow morning, and it will drop our temperatures a little bit. We'll talk about that and so far how our weekend is shaping up so far here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, we'll see you soon, Chris. Well, voters in some communities in Missouri and Kansas headed to the polls yesterday. We now have the results. Issues on the ballots include school bonds, park improvements, tax questions, and funding for emergency services. And several communities are also choosing their local government leaders. Now we start in Carthage, where there are 2 questions. The first asks to raise the current operating levy. Now it would be a 55-cent property tax increase to fund a salary increase for Carthage school district teachers. This question passes. Now the second question would extend the current tax to pay for a bond up to $25 million for building renovations, a new performing arts auditorium, and tornado safety shelter. This question also passed. So East Newton Schools Proposition Safe Kids asks voters to extend to current tax levy to fund the construction of 2 storm shelter multi-purpose classrooms at the Granby and Triway campuses. This proposition passes. The Jasper School District asked voters to pass a levy for learning question. It would increase the operating tax levy to help attract and retain quality teachers and staff. This question passes by a sizable margin. Voters in Sarcoxie School District decide a $2.5 million school bond. Proposition CARE would fund a number of projects, including safety improvements and athletic facility upgrades. This bond did not pass. Now in Seneca, voters are asked to extend the current tax levy to pay for a $9 million bond. This would fund improvements at the current school facilities, construct tornado safe rooms at the junior high, and build a new center for career exploration at the high school. This question passes. Now, in our lone Kansas school district, voters in Galena decide if a $7.5 million school bond to pay for campus upgrades, roof repairs, and an elevator replacement. Now, this bond would not raise taxes, only extend the current operating levy. It passed by a wide margin. Now, switching gears, there were two candidates running for mayor in Carthage. Ed Flanagan is the winner over Ed Hardesty. The Carthage community has dealt with turmoil surrounding its city leadership over the past year. And in the Goodman, Missouri mayor's race, Clay Sexton defeats J.R. Fisher. Now that sets up an interesting case, and here's why. Alderman. Sexton wins that race as well. Now there's quite the question as to how the outcome should be handled, and it could set a statewide precedent considering the Secretary of State's office isn't sure either. And to find voting information for your area, you can just scan this QR code. Now it'll take you to election resources on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. You'll be able to find all sorts of election info, including polling places and schedules. You can even check to see if you're registered to vote. Well, the Sunflower State recently passed a number of new laws. KOAM's Melissa Alexis explains how these new rules will impact Kansans.
The new Kansas laws will affect groups from companies to residents to local government.
Dependents of members of the National Guard will now have some extra educational benefits. A new law expands the Educational Assistance Act, and they can earn a higher education certificate or degree. Another new law in the education realm created a grant fund to support technical colleges in Kansas. It aims to help schools better meet the needs of students. The State Board of Regents will manage the fund. One law protects victims of fires started by electric company equipment. A claim must be made within 2 years of the fire, and in a few cases, 10 years. There's also a new aim for transparency through a law that requires local governments to report economic development incentives. They'll have to post in an online public database anything over $50,000 with annual updates. Lastly, the Act criminalizes unauthorized access and damage to critical infrastructure facilities, including newly defined telecommunication structures, with penalties from misdemeanors to felonies to protect essential services.
These are just a few of the laws that Kansas lawmakers have approved within the last month, but there have actually been more than 10. I'm Melissa Alexis reporting.
You can find more information on new Kansas laws on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes, coming up on the KOAM Morning News. Pittsburgh State softball tries to win its 10th game in a row. We'll have the details. Plus, millions of dollars worth of rare diamonds go on display in Abu Dhabi. And we have a warmer and partly cloudy day today. We'll have what to expect with Chris Warner in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back, but first, here's more election results from Southwest Missouri.
Well, Monday, Pitt State softball swept a doubleheader over Northwest Missouri, and Missouri Southern split with Missouri Western. Yesterday, the Lions and Gorillas swap opponents for another MIAA doubleheader. Kiki Pickens starts as pitcher for Southern a day after throwing a complete game shutout, and she starts hot once again. The right-hander gets a couple of strikeouts in the top of the third to keep us a scoreless tie. So we go to the bottom of the fourth now, and there's still no score. Katie Gray smashes one over the left fielder's head, which one hops the wall, and she's got a stand-up double. After Gray advances to third, Katie Dickey hits one to the warning track in center. It's caught out there, but plenty deep to score the run. Lions lead 1-0. Back to Pickens in the circle, sixth inning. and she gets her 7th and 8th strikeouts of the day. Pickens goes 6 2/3 once again without allowing a run, and the Lions win the first game 1-0 over Northwest. Same as Monday, after the Lions win the first game, they lose the second. Final score 8-4. Even in a losing effort, great game from Southern center fielder Kylie Jacks. She goes 3 for 4 at the plate, steals 3 bases, and scores 2 runs. Over in Pittsburgh, the 23rd-ranked Gorillas also win their first game by shutout. Ava Laurent allows just 2 hits while pitching a complete game. Courtney Story and Emily Aids both get an RBI, and the Gorillas win their 9th in a row. And now to the second game between the Griffins and the Gorillas. Pitt State trying to extend its winning streak to double digits. Top of the first, Mackenzie Devine smacks a single back up the middle into center. Western gets 2 runners on base, but Aiden Brown gets a swinging strikeout to escape the jam. She'd allow a home run next inning, and PSU falls behind 1-0. Bottom of the fourth, Gorillas get some life at the plate. Courtney Story blasts one over the left fielder's head. That's in for a double. Later in the inning, Trista Peterson hits an infield pop fly, but the sun and wind allow this one to fall. Griffins do get the force out at second. Gorillas still threatening. And Alexi Davis hits one in a very similar spot, but this time Western makes the play. Pitt State plays from behind nearly the entire game, but the Gorillas score 2 in the bottom of the 7th to walk it off. They've now won 10 in a row. Over to Major League Baseball, the Cardinals and Royals each continue series yesterday evening against a couple of their respective division rivals. We're going to start with the Cardinals. They get their first road win of the season last night, 5-3 over the Pirates. Pittsburgh's ace Paul Skeens picks up his first loss of the year. The Royals win last night as well, 2-1 over the Twins. Vinny Pasquantino comes through with an RBI groundout in the bottom of the 8th inning to score the go-ahead run. And in pro basketball, it's the final week of the NBA regular season. The Thunder are hoping to end on a high note prior to beginning their playoff run. Last night, OKC handles the Lakers 136-120. It's business as usual for the NBA's leading scorer, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He leads the way with 42 points. The Thunder have 3 regular season games left, all on the road before the playoffs next week. So to come, a new study finds that additives in ultra-processed foods can be linked to type 2 diabetes. Plus, warm and windy today. How long will it last? The details when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 5:17 now on this Wednesday morning, halfway through the work week, and it is going to be an absolutely beautiful but breezy day out there. Partly cloudy skies into the afternoon. South winds will be gusting for us. The winds will actually begin to ease up a little later this evening, shifting out of the west, and then overnight they'll actually become calm for a little while. As we head into tomorrow morning, still with the partly cloudy skies. That's the other thing. Skies will also briefly clear overnight. We'll be mostly clear overnight, and then clouds return tomorrow. And then, see, the wind arrows are just kind of doing their thing. That's because there's really not anything pushing the winds until we get that cold front about 8-9 o'clock in the morning. Once it sweeps through, it's going to shift our winds out of the northwest. They're going to start gusting again, upwards of about 25 miles an hour, and it does make us a little cooler tomorrow than what we will be today. Not significantly so, which is nice, but it will be a little cooler. And the other nice thing about this cold front, though, is it also does not cause our temperatures to drop too far overnight either. Yeah, we're a little chilly, but not that bad, not below freezing, not at that same stage we were just yesterday morning. By Friday, we'll have a mix of clouds and sun. Otherwise, I think just kind of sunny skies. We'll be a little cooler Friday as well. Temperatures really only making it roughly into the 60s for most of us. And as we head into the weekend, things will start to warm back up again. And not doing too bad this morning, 55 in Joplin. Joplin reporting clear skies. Again, we have partly cloudy skies. So some of us, the clouds haven't made it all the way through the area, but we'll all eventually be partly cloudy. South winds already up to 14 miles an hour, which is again helping bring in that warmer air across the region. So at this point still Cassville, the cold spot, but even that cold spot's not that bad, 49. The rest of us, we got low to mid 50s and even some upper 50s. Look at Yates Center as the warm spot at 57 this morning. So again, not a bad start to the day at all, again, compared to yesterday and Monday. Just much better. All right, low to mid 50s to start, mid 60s by 11 o'clock this morning. Partly cloudy skies out there. As we head into the afternoon, here's what we've got. Temperatures continue to warm. South winds, though, gusting upwards of 35, so do keep that in mind. It's going to be breezy today. Partly cloudy and eventually low to mid 70s for most of us, but some of our western counties might even make the upper 70s, pushing close to 80 out to the west again. So again, very warm day. Into the evening we go. Take a look at these temperatures. Still in the 60s by 10 o'clock tonight. Skies will begin to clear. The winds will begin to ease up late this evening. Calm winds overnight and back into the upper 40s and low 50s again. So another pretty decent start to the day for our Thursday. As I mentioned, a little cooler Thursday, low 70s, maybe some upper 60s. And we cool off a little more into Friday, low 60s. By the weekend, we start warming back up. 70s return, upper 70s, maybe a couple of low 80s by Sunday. We get chilly again. Well, not chilly. We get cool. Even that's not that bad. Upper 60s, 70s next week. We are keeping an eye on some thunderstorm chances as we head into the second half of next week. The good news is, unlike last week, where several days in advance we had severe weather outlooks, we don't have any of that heading into next week at this point, so hopefully it stays that way. But we are, of course, in severe weather season, so any thunderstorm chances we get, we always want to keep an eye on them. Outside of that, though, not bad. Upper 60s, low 70s through the next work week. That's Check Your Forecast. We are back with Health Watch right after this.
Well, topping Health Watch this morning, a new study has found clusters of additives in ultra-processed foods can be linked to type 2 diabetes. According to one expert, regulation of additives generally considers their effect on healthy individually rather than as a part of a combination. But the study found clusters of additives often used in certain food categories may be more harmful when eaten together than alone. The study found 2 such mixtures linked to a small but significant increase in type 2 diabetes. Now, that finding is notable in part because one estimate nearly 70% of all food in grocery stores in the U.S. is ultra-processed. Well, pregnancy changes the body in many ways, and research now says it may also offer protection against long COVID. Researchers analyzed data from the 2 global databases that contained records for about 72,000 women infected with COVID during pregnancy between March 2020 and June 2023. Researchers compared them to over 200,000 women who weren't pregnant but got COVID around the same time. Now, results showed about 16 of 100 pregnant women developed long COVID compared with 19 of 100 women who weren't pregnant. Researchers say pregnant women might provide clues to researchers regarding how to help people avoid long COVID. And they are also investigating ways to protect pregnant women from long COVID using drugs already on the market. A Little League baseball coach in Southern California is waging his biggest battle off the field. The coach has pancreatic cancer, and as Jane Kim explains, his family, his team, and the community are rallying around him.
You guys got this. Have fun, be confident. All right, athletics on me, athletics on 3, 1, 2, 3.
And the Athletics are off, playing a game to remember. The second baseman has one cheerleader in the stands he's particularly grateful for.
It just gives me positive mind.
8-year-old Dario DeZino is talking about his dad, Nick. He's the manager of the Athletics with Lake Murray Little League and has been coaching the team since 2019.
It's my happy place. Love being out here. A little extra energy.
He's known for his positivity and the care he has for his players. But just this February, Nick DeZino was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer.
It spread to my liver a little bit, which, made it a really big deal for me and my family.
It's taken Nick out of the dugout, but hasn't stopped him from supporting his team from the stands.
I try to be here as much as I can. I can't really be on the field coaching just because of energy levels and, treatment and things that keep me away. But when I can, I'm out here watching.
Members of the community saw Nick's passion and came together for Nick and his family. Travis Doherty is the president of Lake Murray Little League and started a GoFundMe page for Nick's fight against cancer.
It's a very difficult time for him and his family right now. He's got 2 young boys, and I don't know that I could say the same for myself, that I'd be able to do what he's doing, but he still comes out here. He tries his hardest. He does what he does.
I'm still supporting the team, still trying to get involved and be with them because, like you said, it is my happy place. It's a thing that really that I'm passionate about.
Well, Nick's GoFundMe page has raised more than $24,000 so far and is still accepting donations. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we've got, again, a much warmer start to the day ahead of a much warmer and windier day. The latest on your forecast when we come back.
Right now at 5:30, a Carthage church serves up appreciation and breakfast for some bus drivers.
And Mother Nature serving up some appreciation for us finally with a warmer start to the day and a much warmer afternoon. Look at that forecast, get you out the door. Coming up.
Plus, hundreds of area students all add up at Pitt State for its annual math race.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:30. I'm Elise Snowy.
I'm Chris Warner. It's Wednesday. It's April the 8th, 9th. I knew what day it was earlier. I didn't know what day it was now. Well, happy Wednesday. We're halfway through the work week.
Always a good day Wednesday.
I'll tell you. Yeah, I just read a thing on the internet that made it sound like Wednesday was awful, but really it's not. I mean, we're halfway through the week.
It's good.
It's not bad. It said that I read it to you a moment ago. It just said it's like I survived Tuesday, and for what? Wednesday? That's
so
disgusting.
You were reading that. I thought you were just saying whatever you felt.
That does happen on occasion. Anybody who knows me knows that just random things will pop out of my head, which is why I have a job to keep me focused.
Yes.
I have something specific to talk about, and I'm going to talk about the warmer weather that we're experiencing now and will continue to experience into the afternoon. But first, let's look outside. Right there, downtown Pittsburgh, our camera 4th and Broadway, looking back to about the southeast, and it looks pretty good. Starting to see a few clouds rolling in out there. MoDOT camera 20th and Rangeline is zoomed in quite nicely. You get a nice view of the street light. You don't realize how big these things are until they're changing them out or they're putting new ones up. I mean, these things are huge. They're a lot bigger than they look like from the ground. My middle child, he did not believe me as how big they were. And I took him up to one that was kind of close to the ground, and he was very surprised as to how big a traffic light is. There's your fun fact of the day. An even funner fact is it's the warmer weather that's on the way. Well, partly cloudy skies into the afternoon. We will be breezy, though. Winds out of the south gusting up to 35, so that's something we want to keep an eye on, especially if you are traveling in a high-profile vehicle. And by later this evening, those winds shift out of the west, and then overnight, they will calm down for us. Temperatures 55 in Joplin, 51 in Pittsburgh. The cold spot we've had so far this morning has been Cassville, still the cold spot at 48. Considering that yesterday's cold spot was Stockton at 28, that's a big improvement. Majority of us low to mid 50s, but out west, we do have some upper 50s. Chanute, Yates Center, both sitting at 58. These temperatures this morning put us anywhere from 10 to 26 degrees warmer now than where we were 24 hours ago. I told you it'd be warmer this morning, and it certainly is. That's not a bad thing. Kids getting on the bus, low 50s, partly cloudy, south winds gusting to 25. And when that bus brings them back home this afternoon, low 70s, south winds now gusting upwards of 35. So again, if you're traveling east-west roadways in a high-profile vehicle, do keep in mind it's going to be pretty breezy, but it's going to be very nice as well. Partly cloudy, majority of us low mid-70s for our highs, but out west where it's already warmer, maybe warmer this afternoon, getting all close to 80 in some cases. The warm weather does come to an end, but not that bad. It won't be that cold. We'll talk about tomorrow morning's cold front and tell you how the weekend is shaping up here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, voters in some communities in Missouri and Kansas headed to the polls yesterday, and we now have the results. Now, several area communities voted on tax proposals yesterday. They included a proposed 1/4-cent sales tax in Jasper County to create a children's services fund. Supporters say it would generate $5 million a year. Voters rejected that idea. Barton County, Missouri voters were asked to fund MU extension programs through their property taxes. Voters said no to that proposal. We told you about the proposal to impose a 3% tax for some online purchases in Neosho, Missouri, to go toward parks and recreation projects. Voters apparently didn't like that idea. That issue fails. Orinoco had its own online sales tax proposal on the ballot. Voters gave a thumbs down to that proposal. Goodman, Missouri voters rejected a half-cent sales tax proposal for public safety and law enforcement funding. Goodman also considered an online sales tax of 1.5%. Voters there narrowly approved the proposal. The proposal in Knoll, Missouri was to make a 3/8 cent sales tax permanent. Knoll voters approved that idea, and we'll have more election results in a bit. To find voting information for your area, you can just scan this QR code. It'll take you to election resources on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. You'll be able to find all sorts of election info, including polling places and schedules. You can even check to see if you're registered to vote. Well, Neosho County commissioners meet yesterday to discuss a road and bridge sales tax that voters approved last August. Now, leaders say they do not have any concrete plans on which projects they will work on first, but do plan to discuss their options in more detail at a later date.
Started in January of this year, January 1st, 2025, is when it starts accumulating. We are getting ready to open the funding account, so we have to get that lined out through our CIC process.
The commission was scheduled to talk about its plans to work with their community's solar power systems. However, that is currently rescheduled until Tuesday. Now, it was a celebration of transportation yesterday morning at Forest Park Church in Carthage. Now, the church honored the transportation department of Carthage schools by serving bus drivers a full breakfast, including biscuits and gravy, sausage, and eggs. The event was inspired by one of the church's pastors who has a family history of bus drivers.
It's very valuable. They are crucial to the Carthage schools. They're crucial to our community. They put their lives at risk every day on the roads. They're responsible for the safety of all the kids getting to school.
The official National Bus Driver Appreciation Day will be later this month on April 22nd. Pittsburgh State University hosted its 55th annual math relays, bringing together over 850 high school students from 52 schools across Kansas, Oklahoma, and Missouri. The event featured intense time relay math tests where teams of 4 competed, each taking a leg of every challenge. Educators highlight the event as a valuable opportunity for students to tackle complex problems without utilizing modern technologies.
It's just a really fun competition and exercise to practice our math skills in kind of a non-school environment and a bit outside of school, so it's also a bit competitive in the fact, so it's pretty fun doing that.
It's difficult, but just with the technology alone that the students have accessible to make sure that they're really applying themselves and learning it and just not reaching out to those AI and Google, things like that, and finding out, well, here's the answer and here's how you work the problem, rather want them to be able to better apply themselves and learn it.
Well, most students we spoke with wanted to study a math-related subject after high school, like the medical field or science field. Others did it just for fun. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. At least 60 people are dead and 160 are injured after a roof collapse at a Dominican Republic nightclub. Plus, a new crew is launching to the International Space Station for an 8-month mission. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back, but first, here's more election results. Well, topping World Watch, take a look at one of the most important blue diamonds ever discovered. Now, the 10.03 carat Mediterranean blue diamond is on display in an exhibition in Abu Dhabi. Now, auction house Sotheby's expected to fetch $20 million for it at an upcoming auction. The exhibition also includes a set of rare diamonds. Now, just 8 diamonds are on display at the exhibition, but they have a combined total weight of over 700 carats. This exhibition closes today in Abu Dhabi. Then Sotheby's will auction the rare Mediterranean blue diamond in Geneva on May 13th. At least 60 people are dead and another 160 injured after a roof collapsed early Tuesday at an iconic nightclub in the Dominican Republic, frequently visited by politicians and athletes. Rescue crews are focusing on finding survivors, prioritizing 3 areas of the club, saying sounds were still being heard in some parts of the building. Now, it wasn't immediately clear what caused the roof to collapse or when the building was last inspected. The club issued a statement saying it was cooperating with authorities. Now, despite tensions between the U.S. and Russia, the two nations continue an agreement in space. On Tuesday, the latest American arrived safely at the International Space Station. Jonathan Seri has more.
NASA astronaut Johnny Kim launched from Kazakhstan with 2 Russian cosmonauts, the trio arriving at the International Space Station in just over 3 hours to begin an 8-month mission in low Earth orbit. This is the first space mission for Kim, who's also a medical doctor and former Navy SEAL.
I am a huge believer and proponent in public service, and being able to share the science that we get to do on station, get to contribute to inspiring the next generation.
We had an opportunity to visit the NASA facility where Kim spent months preparing for the expedition. Here at Johnson Space Center in Houston, astronauts train on this mock-up of the International Space Station. Johnny Kim will be launching to the ISS on a Russian Soyuz spacecraft like this one. On completion of his mission, they'll actually jettison this portion. It holds cargo, experiments, other supplies they need for the mission. And then he and 2 Russian cosmonauts will return in this small capsule. To fly Soyuz, you have to be able to read and speak Russian because all the controls and communications are in that language. Despite tensions on the ground, the U.S. and Russia continue their cooperation in space that began with the Apollo-Soyuz mission 50 years ago.
At the end of the day, we're all humans doing our parts, trying to make this world a better place. And that's no different with my friends that I get to go to space with, my Russian cosmonauts.
Johnny Kim says he's interested in answering questions about the effects of long-duration spaceflight on the human body to better prepare astronauts for multi-year missions to Mars and beyond.
That's a look at World Watch. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. 5:46 now on this Wednesday morning. We're going to start with the future track, heading into this afternoon with those partly cloudy skies and gusty south winds. That's something, again, if you're driving a high-profile vehicle on any east-west routes in the area, do be prepared for that. Temperatures, though, thanks to that south breeze, will be warmer today. Most of us low to mid-70s, but some of our far western counties could get into the upper 70s as we head into the afternoon. Overnight tonight, the winds will actually calm down and eventually just be calm as we head toward tomorrow morning. We'll be mostly clear overnight before clouds return tomorrow morning. We'll go partly cloudy, and then that cold front sweeps through early in the morning. And as it does, the good news is it's not going to have a significant impact on our temperatures. It will make us a little cooler, but will not drop our temperatures, and it will bring in a gusty northwest wind, pushing upwards of 25 miles an hour. And this is what I mean by the temperature drop, some upper 60s and low 70s. So not that big of a deal, just a little bit cooler. Now, the good news is as well, that front does not have a major impact on our overnight lows either. Maybe a few more 40s, but not dropping back below freezing, which is also some great news out there as we go into Friday morning. By Friday, though, a few extra clouds here and there, a little bit cooler yet on Friday because we're a little cooler overnight with that north wind continuing behind that front. Our temperatures not as warm, but again, not too terrible either. You know what we saw yesterday and day before, so not bad in terms of those temperatures. And temperatures right now look great. We're already up to 55 in Joplin, south breeze at about 14 miles an hour. Across the region, temperatures into the low to mid 50s for most of us. Got a couple of cooler spots. Cassville still the cold spot at 47. Monette, you're right behind at 48. And our warm spot now is Chanute at 58. Yates Center right behind that, though, at 57 this morning. So a nice mild start out there for us, especially compared to the last couple of days. I told you our temperatures this morning be almost 20 degrees warmer in the last couple of mornings, and they certainly are. All right, mid-50s to start. Partly cloudy skies out there, mid-60s by 11 this morning. Into the afternoon we go. Again, partly cloudy skies, south winds gusting upwards of 35. And temperatures, again, for most of us, low to mid-70s, but some upper 70s out west, not out of the question. Into the evening, again, partly cloudy, skies gradually clear into the 60s still by 10 o'clock. Upper 40s, low 50s tonight, just a few clouds, and those winds will be calm. Then tomorrow, again, just a wee bit cooler, upper 60s, low 70s, breezy though, gusty northwest winds. Cooler on Friday, as we mentioned. But you can also see with our lows, get kind of cold Friday night, but not very cold, not to the freezing point. As we head into the weekend, we start to warm up, upper 70s near 80 by Sunday, breezy again. And we're keeping an eye on some pop-up thunderstorm chances as we head to the middle of next week. That's Check Your Forecast. We are back with more right after this.
Well, the family of a North Carolina teenage heart transplant recipient meets the donor's family. Eric Miller has the story.
For the Minsk family, it's an echo of the past.
That's a steady heartbeat.
The heartbeat of their 15-year-old daughter, Selena.
She loves to go on adventures. We'd take her on trips with us, cruises, and she was just very, sorry, I'm getting a little teary-eyed here, but she was just amazing.
Selena's life was cut short 2 years ago after a severe allergic reaction to a cookie that they were told was nut-free that turned out to be made almost entirely of almond flour. John and Maida Minsk first shared their story with WRAL that same year.
And she was literally suffocating. It was like the worst thing. I will never forget that.
Despite doctors' best efforts, Selena passed away. But thanks to a decision that John and Maida made, that wasn't the end of Selena's story.
When we were approached, it wasn't really a decision. It wasn't a hard decision, I guess. It was just like, well, yeah, let's donate our organs.
That donation ended up saving lives, including Haley Poor's.
I'm focusing body.
In February, the Minsk family finally got the chance to meet Haley and the rest of the Poor family and listen to the heart their daughter gave.
Every little special moment in her life, I want them to be a part of it, too.
These two families now say they're only growing closer as Selena's gift continues to beat on each and every day.
Honestly, like, she's a hero. She saved 5 lives. And I mean, she's a spiritual warrior. And I think she was here for a purpose.
What a beautiful story. Stick around. We'll be right back. Well, they're back. Trader Joe's is out with a new line of mini canvas tote bags. Now, these new bags reflect the spring season. They come in a variety of pastel colors: baby blue, mint green, pink, and lavender. The grocery chain says the bags are ideal for small shopping trips. Trader Joe's released a different line of mini totes last year, which became a viral sensation. People were lining up to get their hands on the bags, and they're pretty inexpensive at $2.99 a bag. There is a limit of 4 per customer. And Uber released its annual Lost and Found Index, and some items on the list might surprise you. Now, this year, the most commonly forgotten item are, of course, phones, keys, and wallets. But people have also left behind some unique items, including a mannequin head with human hair, a chainsaw, a turtle, a sticky boo bra, Shrek ears, 2 mattresses, 100 DVDs, Ozempic, and a urinal. Now, the top 5 most forgetful cities are New York, Miami, Chicago, Los Angeles, and Washington, D.C. The index also identified that the most forgetful day is October 26th.
Okay, so if you're calling an Uber, I'm hoping they're talking about like one of those like hospital urinals, not like, how do you
Could you imagine?
But not to mention with an Uber, what are you doing with a mattress?
I mean, some of these are two mattresses, nonetheless.
Two mattresses. How do you forget two mattresses? I mean, okay. Oh my, this is why, you know what? If I can't drive myself, I'm not going anywhere, all right? But what are people taking? What are people doing out there? I don't know. Well, don't leave any crazy stuff behind in Uber unless you want to, end up on that list. Got a great day, though. It's going to be nice to ride with the top down if that's possible. And if it's not, well, put the windows down. Mid-50s by 8, mid-60s by 11, partly cloudy. The one trade-off is we have those south winds gusting upwards of 35. Highs for most of us, low to mid-70s, maybe even some upper 70s in our western counties. Skies will begin to clear out a bit late this evening. Winds will actually calm down overnight. Upper 40s, low 50s, just a few clouds here and there. A little cooler tomorrow after a cold front passes through in the morning. Upper 60s, low 70s. Northwest winds gusting upwards of about 25 miles an hour. Chilly on Friday, at least compared to today and tomorrow. A little warmer by Sunday. We'll be back with another hour of the KOAM Morning News right after this.